What do you think?
I think we're dead meat. Real dead meat.
You're dead meat! Go ahead and laugh, you guys. If I ever find a little bastards that did this, they're dead meat.
Welcome to the Dead Meat Podcast, an extension of the YouTube channel Dead Meat. I'm James.
I'm Chelsea, and we're engaged, and we like to get scared together. Hey, so I had people recommend movies for us to review, and I wanted to do some newer stuff, some new releases, because it's so easy to just fall behind with new horror movies. There's still so many I haven't seen from this year alone.
Yeah.
And I forgot that this was going to be the episode that takes us to our holiday break. So I picked Possessor, not realizing that, but it just feels right.
Yeah, it's fine. 2020 was a weird year.
Yeah.
This is a weird movie.
So we're going to have Possessor play us out for 2020. Yeah, I went in knowing nothing about this other than the fact that it's written and directed by Brandon Cronenberg, David Cronenberg's son. And I just knew people online said I would dig it. And you're correct. I really enjoyed this. I really like the fact that I have a podcast where people listen to me talk about movies every week and have a by now, very good idea of what I like. And so when people pretty overwhelmingly recommend this, like a lot of you wanted us to watch this, I had a good feeling. And yeah, you all know me so well now. And I'm really touched that a movie that's this fucked up is one that you're all like, this is one Chelsea would like.
Oh, yeah, that checks out.
Yeah.
It's a great, unique movie that I really enjoy. It's one of these hard sci-fi movies. As far as genre goes, it feels kind of Annihilation, in that it's like this cold, hard sci-fi that's kind of a horror. I mean, this one is so gory.
This is one of the goriest movies I've ever seen. Maybe.
Yeah, it's
up there.
It's up there. I still think maybe Terrifier.
Terrifier's
that's
extremely
the whole
gory.
raison d'etat or whatever of that movie existing.
Yeah.
But this one is like, because we were watching it and we were like, oh, we have some friends that maybe we could show this to. No.
Yeah, we have some friends who we showed Annihilation to and they loved it. I mean, Annihilation is still one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so happy we went to go see that in a theater.
Yes.
I was just thinking about how the last act of that movie on a big screen is incomparable. It's so cool. But, so I'm thinking, okay, we have these friends who really liked Annihilation. The mood of this was giving me, like similar vibes, and it's kind of a harder sci-fi. And it's borderline horror. Like, you could maybe even argue this isn't a horror movie.
Plot-wise,
it's not really.
I guess. I mean, it's kind of like Upgrade.
Plot-wise, it's a bit, like an Upgrade or even like a Black Mirror kind of. It's like just the dark side of tech.
Exactly. It's like techno-dystopia, which that shares a lot in common with horror. Twilight Zone was one of those that straddled those genres. It's like they've gone hand in hand forever.
Yeah, so it's... genres are weird and blurry.
Yeah. Invisible Man, the original, that's sci-fi and horror, whatever, dude.
It is fun though how, because horror is so like nebulous, I can kind of just squash and squeeze the definition of what horror is to just review movies I want to watch for the podcast. But this one I didn't know anything about, so the fact that so many of you recommended it, I'm thinking it's a horror movie, and it's terrifying. It's fucked up.
Yeah, it's real. Shit. I mean, the whole movie is bleak.
Yeah,
it's got this bleak sense to it.
No levity.
A loss of humanity is like a persistent theme, and that's always something that's heavy. We just mentioned Upgrade, and I feel like this does have a lot in common with Upgrade as far as it's techno dystopia, and it's Upgrade similarly has these unexpectedly graphic kills in it. You're watching it and you're like, is this a horror? And then it gets to like really graphic kills, which I know doesn't necessarily make a movie horror, but Upgrade is fun.
Upgrade is fun.
It's
Upgrade
a good
is a
time
roller
at the movies.
Coaster.
This is not fun. Like you just said, no levity.
Yeah, which I've complained about on the podcast before. There's been movies we reviewed where I'm like, I needed something, where it just was a little like the tone.
I think you
of
just said it with Unhinged. You wanted a little bit more,
maybe time, but not like.
But even that's a fucking carnival ride.
Oh yeah,
that
movie is fun as fuck compared to this.
It's campy. This is just...
Yeah, exactly. That movie's camp, and But that one even it's not even that I want jokes or stuff that's explicitly funny, but it's like, yeah, Upgrade does that well, where I would never say that's a funny movie, but it's got some light. But this is heavy the whole time.
Yeah.
And I didn't hate, like, I liked it for this.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
The just overall plot of Possessor, a possessor is someone who takes over another person's body in order to commit an assassination.
Yeah.
And I was reading, it said it takes place in an alternate 2008. So it's not
sorry,
even...
what?
Yeah,
it's 2008?
That's what the Wikipedia said. I don't know where that information's coming from, but that's interesting because it seems more like it'd be like 2030, like near future.
Yeah, I thought this was kind of a projection of, this is close to what the next 10 years are going to be like, which I would totally buy. That's what I was thinking this whole time.
I mean, they go to the job with the VR, and I don't think that technology... Well, it's an alternate 2008, so who knows? Whatever. But
yeah, we had the idea of like a VR, but the way that VR is used feels so new to me. Just them cataloging different types of curtains and stuff and image recognition and detection and stuff.
Yeah, it's I mean, I don't know what else to say up top about it other than it. I think you should watch it.
I think it's worth if you I'll say this. If you can handle a really gory movie a movie with a ton of nudity in it, like it's another like we said, it's a We Hate Movies style. What are you watching? If someone comes in at the wrong
there's
moment,
literal porn in here.
there is.
Like there's like
to be fair, we watched the bigger, longer, and uncut version of this.
Yeah, I don't know if a cut version is available because it seemed to me when I was getting the Blu-ray they were all this unrated one.
Yeah.
But the version we watched has literal porn in it.
Yeah.
As in some some taint and asshole.
we're seeing a dude's taint.
There's a
we're
erect
seeing the
penis.
runway. Yeah, we're seeing erect dicks.
And
we're
that's the erect penis is in a scene separate from the porn.
That's a different scene. There's flaccid penis. There's we're seeing spread eagle lady.
Oh yeah,
it's a lot. You're seeing the whole human body, which is great. I think like fuck it. Like it's weird that we have to put this much of a warning for, oh no, there's penises.
Oh yeah, I'm just giving you a heads up.
But yeah, just in case you don't want any uncomfortable moments on accident.
There you go. Yeah, just in case
your
not
that I think you're all a bunch of prudes or anything, but yeah.
But the gore, be forewarned.
Oh God, the gore!
It is some of the most brutal kills I've seen in a long time.
I was just rereading my notes before we started, and my notes are just, wait, what? Oh, wait, oh God! And then James and I are both yelling. I wrote it one point.
Oh yeah.
Our housemates said they could tell it got us a few times because we were just straight up screaming at the
vocal
TV.
reactions of oh
yeah, which is fun. Love it. Love when that happens. We watch a lot of movies with a lot of gore in them, and when something can get us, it's pretty good. So yeah, I'll just say like father, like son, we're getting some head trauma. Be forewarned, and it's head trauma with now effects.
Yeah.
And makeup, prosthetics.
Yeah, it's not like 80s, like, oh, cool, the scanner's head blew up kind of thing.
Which is still like...
Which is still fucking awesome.
Viscerally disturbing, but this is just another level of...
It feels so much more realistic,
real.
Yeah,
it's nasty. Anyway, now we'll just spoil it all, I guess.
Yeah, go watch it. If if this sounds appealing, pause this, go watch it, come back.
But I know there's plenty of you that, nope, that's going to be too much. And fear not, we have you. We have your back. And if you've just come back from watching the movie, hey, that was fucked up, right? Welcome back.
Yeah, so there's a cold open, which is a great scene with a woman named Holly, played by Gabrielle Graham, who her acting really gets you right into the mood.
I actually was disappointed she was only in this opening scene. She's in The Expanse. I didn't know who she was, but I think that's
me neither, but
what she's known for if you watch The Expanse. But yeah, there's this cold open, which is such a cool it's such a solid way to open this movie because we see
before you have any idea what's going on.
Yeah,
really.
that is one thing I'll say that I really appreciated about this movie, and is for me the difference between a really good sci-fi and just kind of a middle tier sci-fi is This movie doesn't hold your hand, and it doesn't need to. It takes the risk of trusting that you're gonna get what's going on, and it works so well.
Yeah, it's like you'll get it.
This does not, I don't think, ever really explain what the tech is.
It never gets bogged down in the finer details of how everything has to work perfectly.
They don't explain like, well, we're a company of assassins and we do this. You just put together those pieces on your own, and it's done very well.
Yes.
I would not say this is a confusing movie, even though during the process of watching it, it is very confusing. But by the end, it's a pretty... I would say
with just enough to make you like think about. Like,
yeah, exactly,
wonder
exactly.
what the
I have
purpose
my
of
own
that.
thoughts about the ending and what it implies, and very cool.
But before you even know what's going on, we're seeing a super close up of this woman sticking a electrical plug into her scalp, like close up of it going in, the blood bubbling out. It's very visceral. First vocal reaction from us, like, oh God. And then she looks in the mirror and just goes through like a cycle of emotions from laughing and crying. And like this acting has to be perfect for this to work. And it is. It's great.
What's the character's name? Holly?
Holly, yeah.
So we see Holly.
It seems as though she's an escort of some sort, like a bottle service.
Yeah,
type.
she's a.
I don't know if escort's right.
No, she like hostess.
Yeah.
I don't think she's an escort.
Okay, but she is tending to a rich and powerful man.
Yes, she's a hostess at I think a pretty high end bar or restaurant or something.
I feel as though it's implied that there's more.
I think
to
so.
it,
I think
though.
so too, and I
Yeah.
think that's why what happens ends up happening, because we learn that our main character gets briefed on these people's lives, and she knows why she's being sent to murder ultimately
this
the
lawyer
person, this
guy.
lawyer who gets murdered. So I think you're right. I think there is maybe something a bit shady because they all walk in. It's all these hostesses kind of clocking in for work at this party, and they're all wearing these blue like velour tracksuits. Yeah, and
But yeah, Holly grabs a knife off a table, like a steak knife, and just walks up to this guy and just starts stabbing him. And like, it is so brutal. She stabs him in the chest so many times, and like everyone is freaking out and running away, and it just doesn't pull away. And she stabs him, I don't like over a dozen times.
yeah,
and you
he's
see it go
hamburger.
in
He's
and
absolute
out.
hamburger.
Oh, yeah. She is mincing that meat.
It's one of those things where if you have ever, like, if you're into true crime at all, sometimes you'll read about like a murder that was a stabbing. And when you kind of actually think about, like, they say, oh, this person was stabbed 19 times, and you actually count how long that would, that's what's going
That's
on in this
fucked up.
scene, and it's fucked. It's really disturbing.
Yeah, and I love it when we get the occasional movie that does this. I don't need to see it in every movie, but like horror movies are fun, and you know it's fun to watch kills and give them awards and shit. But like it's also important to remember that in real life, like it's not a simple thing that like how you see it in movies. Same thing with gunshots. And I like to occasionally have a reminder of, no, if someone's stabbing you, it is fucked up, man.
Yeah.
Like it's not something like you get stabbed and like run away and you're fine. You call the cops. Like this is it's so painful
awful,
to
yeah.
watch.
But we just have a feeling this guy maybe deserved it.
Maybe
Is what you is
Well, I don't know,
what
'cause
it's telling you.
the main client, like they don't really deserve it, or you know,
Oh yeah, the
next job.
that's
yeah.
I mean
So
yeah
who knows?
that's the thing is
it's totally
and
ambiguous.
Holly, who is being used as the kind of host in this
Oh
scenario,
yeah,
is
she
like, what did
presumably.
she do? So
you
it's
never know.
Yeah, we're already getting some weird ethical, like maybe this creepy lawyer deserved it, but at what cost?
Yeah, because after Holly's done stabbing him, she takes a knife out of her, or I'm sorry, a gun out of her bag and puts it in her mouth and says, "Pull me out," in like a distorted voice. And then you see the struggle in her as she, you can tell she's supposed to be pulling the trigger, but she doesn't. And she waits until the cops arrive and then points the gun at them, and it's like suicide by cop.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's I don't know who's in control, whether it's Holly again, or
I
if
think
it's
we're getting some kind of foreshadowing that something's not quite right here, or that our main character already has had an experience where she's not totally in control.
Yeah, because now is the reveal of this Holly woman was being controlled by our main character, Tazia Voss.
Yes.
Played-
We'll call her Voss, I guess.
Voss or
Taz.
Taz.
Voss or Taz.
Voss or Taz, played by Andrea Riseborough.
Two wild and crazy guys. Yeah, Andrea Riseborough, goddess. Oh, by the way, really, just before we move on, and I totally forget, the opening scene, someone did tweet at me that they found the death of the initial character, just the suicide by cop, like particularly upsetting to watch. That she's a black woman.
Yes.
So I'm so sorry. I like forgot to mention that up top as just kind of a hey. So if that upsets you and that's something that James and I are not going to be like so viscerally affected by seeing because that's just not our experience, but like if that's something that particularly makes you uncomfortable or will prevent you from enjoying the rest of the movie, I would maybe either skip this one or just heads up. So I just wanted to say that before anyone watched this and got really sad.
Yeah. Andrea Riseborough.
Oh my gosh, I am obsessed with her. First of all, she's Mandy in Mandy.
Yes.
She is Mandy. That's so cool. And while I was recovering from my surgery, I finally watched Death of Stalin, which is fucking hilarious, by the way.
And she's in that.
It's so good.
Yeah.
She's in that. I didn't recognize her, and she's hilarious. And she's in this. I didn't recognize her the entire movie.
I know.
It wasn't until the credits until I realized
that name popped
it was
up, and I was
her.
like, "What?"
She's a chameleon,
which is bizarre because she has such a distinct look.
Yeah, I don't know how. Like she has very distinct features and such a distinct face, but I don't know how she does it. She's so good.
And then we looked up images of her at red carpets and stuff, and she looks like an entirely different person. Because like having only really seen her in Mandy and Possessor, where she's this strung out character in both that just seems very stressed and put upon, and then to see her like made up on the red carpet is like,
yeah. And in Death of
person.
Stalin, she has like red curly hair and is kind of she's a little bit like not neurotic, but she's just kind of like on edge that whole movie, but she's so funny.
Yeah, she is the Possessor, the assassin who has taken over Holly's body to kill that lawyer, and her boss is named Girder at this company that hires these people.
Yeah.
Which is just another layer to this whole theme of just techno-capitalist dystopia. Yeah,
this movie has things to say, and I appreciate it.
Girder is played by Jennifer Jason Leigh in basically the same role as Annihilation, except more sinister.
Yeah, she's more of like a boss. Well, she's kind of the boss.
Like the boss
yeah, that's right. She's there. Yeah,
it's just in Annihilation. I think she is a mostly good character, but one of those characters who like pushes people and doesn't tell them the full story. Whereas in this, she seems more evil.
I think she's extremely sinister. I have so many thoughts about her character and what the ending implies and what's been going on this whole time.
Yes, and
we'll talk about that.
I just want to say I'm so happy for her to be doing these roles. I hope she's having a good time because I mean her big breakout role was as a 20-year-old in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and I think in the 80s she was just like this kind of sex symbol.
That's so wild to me because I know Fast Times, I've seen it at some point, but like I just have like my recent associations with, like I just so strongly associate her with these roles she's taken on more recently where she's an authoritative figure and very dry and I think it's great she's in this stuff. I really hope she's found a niche that she enjoys, and God, she's so good in Annihilation. Her just the very last scene with her in it, I think about and get chills. It's so disturbing. But yeah, cool movie where women getting it done, but it's not really about that.
Getting what done?
Exactly.
Yeah,
I don't need a movie if
they don't have to be heroic.
Yeah, like this is a cool movie where the two leads of it are women, but it's not really about that, and it's not about how women are always great and amazing and can do everything right. They're sinister, they're human, they're flawed, they lack empathy sometimes. Women can be cold and cruel. And I appreciate movies like this that just clearly these actors are human at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And it's using their humanity to bring these roles to life, as opposed to like, we got to make a movie where it's about how girls can also do cool assassin shit.
Yeah.
But that's, not to discount that, but if that's the only output we're getting where women are allowed to be the leads, that's a bit condescending. It sucks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she has to go through a debriefing process where she just kind of asserts her own self. And I love how, you don't need that spelled out to you as she's going through artifacts and identifying whether or not she recognizes them from her personal life, the history behind them. And like, you just get like, oh yeah, it would be really disorienting to assume another person's identity and then come back. It'd be like waking up out of a dream and not knowing what's real.
It's like that episode in season 1 of Rick and Morty where he plays that game where it's the life simulator.
That's the best.
Oh, what the hell? Whoa, where am I?
55 years. Not bad, Morty. You kind of wasted your 30s, though, with that whole bird-watching phase.
Where's my wife?
Morty, you were just playing a game. It's called Roy. Snap out of it. Come on.
I do like that it doesn't spell out what this procedure is. You get immediately, oh, she's reorienting herself. This belongs to me. This object is my grandfather's pipe.
This is also mine. I killed and mounted it one summer when I was a girl, and then I felt guilty about it. I still feel guilty about it.
She kind of wants to take a break because of her ex-husband, but like separated perhaps.
Yeah, they're still married. They're still married, yeah.
So yeah, her separated husband, father of her child, wants her to take a break from work. I don't think he knows what she does. She just goes on these business trips. Mm-hmm. But Jennifer Jason Leigh's like, well, we've got a really big job though, so can you do that? And Voss is like, I'd rather just take a little bit of time off.
They got this big job, and Jennifer Jason Leigh, I think, she mentioned, I eventually want you to replace me at this job.
That's right. Yeah, I'm grooming you to be my successor.
Because it sounds like the company is on the verge of becoming bigger. Like, they're on to bigger things.
Well, the next job will give them a huge boost. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like we said, she wants to take a little bit of a break. So she goes to visit her family, her husband and son. And it's a great moment when she's standing a little bit like down the block from their house and is just rehearsing lines that are really basic social interactions that are just like, oh, I'm starving. I would love some food. Oh, hey, honey. Like, how was your day?
Yeah, she has to practice being a normal person. She has to practice being herself.
And I love that you see her later when she's taking that other job and she's spying on the person she's going to inhabit and she's repeating the things he says and is rehearsing those lines as well. So when you see that scene, it puts in this earlier one in better context where it's like, oh, her being a civilian and herself has at this point become another role that she has to prepare for. Yeah. Like, she can't just be herself with her family. It's another identity because her own self-identity has been so scrambled by this point that she has to rehearse the lines and assume it just like it were a person who she was possessing.
Yeah, exactly. I can't imagine something, because we have a VR helmet and play, it's fun to play with. But I remember the first time I tried it out, and this was the first time I'd ever tried a VR helmet where it really felt real. Like, I think we finally have gotten to the point where you put one on and it truly feels like you're in another room. And I remember taking it off after 5 minutes in and feeling like I felt like I truly was in another space. It's very weird.
I had those stretches where I would play Subnautica for like 6 hours straight in that VR helmet. And when I took it off, it was like, I felt like I unplugged a thing in the Matrix and was like, I'm hungry and sweaty, but I'm not in water. What?
Yeah, so that she has to kind of remind herself constantly, like, no, this is the real one. This is my.
I also feel like it maybe it can be read as a sort of I don't know. It reminded me of just like anxiety disorders, maybe.
Yeah.
Preparing yourself for a social interaction that maybe you don't feel like you're up for, but you have to go through anyway. That it just kind of reminded me of that kind of feeling.
Or just the idea that, because I think this movie has things to say about just work culture and just our obsession with work to the point where it takes priority over literally everything else. And you work a job for hours and hours on end, especially one like she does where there's so much inherent trauma and just you're seeing fucked up shit every day. Yeah, I'm sure like totally people have to kind of reset their brain and have to remember what it's like to act just normal around your family.
Yeah, to not be in work mode. Yeah.
Oh, I'm absolutely starving. I am absolutely starving, Michael. I'm absolutely starving.
They separated because like it's just not working out with the job. I don't think there's any animosity at all.
But at the end of this, he wants for her to move back in. He says it's like a dinner date with some friends that she's totally disconnected during. Yeah. And yeah, you really feel for her while like her husband's going on this weird bit about like sentient chest hair. Like
I don't know.
It's just one of those like dinner conversations where people are being goofy. Where if you're part of the conversation, it's fun and light. But if you didn't get in on it and you're sitting off to the side like we see her, it's like, these people, and this is just all so stupid.
I think so much of this is really intentional because I'm remembering that when she goes and talks to her kid, the kid is like, hey, I want to hear a joke, and he tells a joke that makes no fucking sense and isn't funny, which kids do, but it's just particularly like, oh, okay, cool. And then he goes, oh, look what I've been working on, and he pulls out this nightmare doll. I don't know if it's supposed to be a cop or
it's some kind of
like a flight attendant. I don't know what the fuck.
But it's something that he can like code dances into and shit.
So he pulls out this, and I think it's supposed to be really off-putting. It's not cute to look at.
No,
it's this weird, creepy little doll that walks around. So you've got that. You've got this like weird, like off-putting, not funny joke from her kid, and you've got the her husband talking with his friends, telling this story that like makes no sense to listen to, and I think that's on purpose. You really feel like you are kind of in her head at that moment. That my kid, I cannot relate to anything my kid finds enjoyment in right now, because as an audience you're also like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
and
these things seem alien. They don't seem normal.
They're not normal at all. And
whereas maybe if she were living there and saw him building this and was there for that story, like they would seem normal. Yeah, she's clearly unable to adapt back to normal life, and so when she's having sex with her husband, she sees him with the knife wounds that she saw as Holly when she stabbed that lawyer. Oh, she also saw news about the murder on the TV. But since she's unable to cope, she just goes straight back to Jennifer Jason Leigh and calls her and is like, I'll take the job. I'm sorry. I want the job.
My kid built a weird robot. Please let me go back into the VR home.
Yeah, and I want, that, speaking of just like work-life balance, and also maybe obviously neither of us have ever served in military, but I feel like you can speak to that kind of thing where I feel like there are often stories of people who come back and are unable to adjust to the civilian life, so they just sign up to do more service because like that's the only thing they know now.
Yeah.
It's just alienation. So she goes back to work and gets the new job, and the new job is to assassinate the president of a data mining company called
Zuthru.
Zuthru, yeah, perfect tech name.
Yeah.
And to kill him and his daughter by possessing the daughter's boyfriend, and then also killing himself, the boyfriend. And the job is hired by the guy's stepson, so that with the dad and the daughter dead, the stepson will inherit the company. And I love that we never meet this stepson. We get a single still picture of him during the mission briefing, but he's never a character. He never shows up to be like, oh, something's going wrong. But it doesn't matter. It's like, this makes sense for this kind of person to hire this this nefarious company to do this evil act, and like we don't need to know anything more about him, and especially because we see that him hiring them isn't even the end goal. The end goal is really for Jennifer Jason Leigh and their company to assert control over Zuthru by then blackmailing the stepson who will be in charge and be like, oh, now you're in charge of the company, but...
Remember when you hired us that one time? We didn't just forget that happened.
Yeah, so this is like a big deal for the company. They're going to be using very immoral means to make themselves more powerful. It's scary. It's like behind the scenes power broking.
I did almost wish we got a little more of... Because they plant the idea of like, we're gonna like after this job, we're gonna be in good with this data mining company. And like, I just wanted to know more about like what that means for them. I mean, I guess it would help make their job easier if they're able to spy on people that closely.
Yeah, and I just think it's like political power. I'm sure that company has lobbying. But for me, I think it's good that we understand why the job is so important for the company and to Jennifer Jason Leigh. But for me, this is a story about Voss, and so I'd rather we stay home because this movie is so focused.
It is
and tight. It's I think it's like an hour and 4 minutes or something. It's not 2 hours.
An hour and 40.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, an hour and like 40, something like that. It feels tight.
Yeah.
And streamlined, and I think it's because it's such a personal story. Yeah. Just with this background, bigger stuff that makes you understand the world.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking now too that another thing that makes sci-fi work for me, and I'm talking hard sci-fi, is when the stories are a bit more focused like this, and we get a sense of what the world is that they live in, but it's not necessarily about the big picture implications of the world. Like Moon is a good one. Moon is so focused on the main character, and it's not about the horrors of the broad implications of what's going. At least I don't remember it being like that. I think it's a bit more personal. Same with this.
Upgrade.
Yeah, it's more about just like how it's impacting the characters and not necessarily just a really broad exploration of like, hey, wouldn't this be fucked up?
Yeah, so she starts spying on Colin Tate, the name of the boyfriend of the president's daughter. And this guy, it's a great in because he's had some addiction problems. He is not an upper society, well-suited, quote-unquote, boyfriend for this tech heiress.
Yeah, they kind of pick people who it will make sense afterwards for this person to have snapped and killed someone and then killed themselves.
And part of that is her possessing him days ahead of time in order to have him seem like he's falling off the wagon and kind of build a lead up into the assassination itself. So like you said, it'll seem...
people saying, he was acting weird days before. And that's why, going back to that very opening scene, this is why I think there's something sinister specifically about this lawyer. Because Voss has to learn everything about her client and everything about the person she will possess. And then also she has to learn about the person she's murdering. And I think she murders him like she does because she must have learned something kind of horrifying about him, maybe.
Maybe, because yes, she was supposed to just shoot him with the gun provided, but she chose instead to grab a steak knife and stab him a ton of times. And she says because
it's more, she's like, I felt it was more in character.
Yeah, but then the question was, whose character?
Right, exactly. But it's like, is it something where, because again, like we see here, they're picking a target where it makes sense for them to have snapped. So did he do something to this Holly?
Sure, yeah.
Where it would make sense for her to stab him to die. So who knows? I think the implications there are a bit dark.
Yes, and we get a reference to her inability to pull the trigger when she was supposed to leave Holly's body because the tech guy who's like doing the actual work of linking their consciousnesses or whatever, and he's like, make sure you pull the trigger on your way. I love the kind of antagonistic relationship between Voss and the guy who's like doing the groundwork, the tech side of things.
The tech guy, yeah.
Which again doesn't get fully explained. We see that they've kidnapped Colin Tate, the boyfriend, and we see them installing like the link that'll allow her to take over his consciousness. And so we just have to assume that they also kidnapped Holly, and that's what they do with these victims. They kidnap them, install this thing, and then next time they wake up, it's Voss inside of them.
Yeah.
But I didn't need to see the scene of them kidnapping him, or like how it sounds like it was done while he was on a business trip. That's good enough for me. It was while he was away from home. And so when he comes back, his girlfriend Ava is like, "Oh, hey, you're acting a little weird, but I guess you were just gone."
Yeah. Also, when we were watching this, the tech guy who...
Oh, that's right!
I just pointed at the screen. I did like a Leo thing, the Leo meme, and I was like, I know that guy. And I couldn't place where... he's from Billy Madison.
Yes.
Like, of course I recognize him, right? Not even a big part.
Yeah, no, he is the groundskeeper who in the very beginning is exasperated with Billy and his nudie magazine day. Is that there's no penguin.
No, Mr. Madison, they're not penguin. You got too much sun today. They're no penguin.
Kind of fun that this is a movie that was filmed in Toronto. Possessor was, and so was Billy Madison also.
That's right.
So that guy, I think, just Toronto.
Maybe,
Toronto guy, yeah.
Yeah, he might be Canadian. That's great.
Lots of Canadians in this.
There's no penguin.
There's no penguin. And yeah, while she's getting set up to possess Colin's body, she's mentioned something to that tech and says, "Keep me in deep. I don't want problems this time." Implying that there have been problems before.
And yeah, again, great. Don't need it spelled out. You get the sense that, yes, linking to someone else's consciousness is probably going to be a struggle. And if there are issues, that's going to really fuck with your ego and sense of self. And like for the other person too, it's going to be wild.
And so now she jumps into his body, and this sequence is so cool.
Yeah, it's just a visual delight.
Very melty, and it's just neat. I can't really even describe, but lots of melting faces, and
it's like the death of ego, you know?
Yeah, it really is.
Herself melting away and reconstituting, and yeah, it's very like waxy, and I love it.
For
it's
sure.
So cool.
So we see now she is Colin, and Voss is now essentially being played by, let me look up the actor's name.
Yeah, because he does such
He's
a
very
good job.
Christopher Abbott. He's fantastic in this. He
was in It Comes at Night.
Yes, he was. He's Joel Edgerton's kid. Or
no,
nope, I lied. I'm mixing it up with something else. He is
like the stranger.
The other couple. Yes, he's the husband in the other couple.
I'd be interested in rewatching that.
I would love to rewatch that.
That was a case of miscalibrated expectations.
Yeah, I was still scared during it though. There's some jumps in that. Got me. Hey, I want to talk to you about our sponsor this week, HelloFresh. So say you're headed over to your separated partner's house for dinner with your weird kid that built a dancing robot, and you're not sure what to do for dinner. Hey, maybe you could make a HelloFresh for everyone. Because HelloFresh is a meal kit delivery service that makes meal prep extremely convenient. As we know, Foz is a very busy lady, so maybe she would enjoy spending less time preparing her food. James and I both use HelloFresh. We love it. It's super duper convenient, especially because we're just busy people. So it's pretty nice to just have the meal kit come in. We don't have to even think really about what we want for dinner. Also, HelloFresh is the first global carbon neutral meal kit company. I just learned that today. That's very cool. They use recyclable packaging. It's made almost entirely from recyclable materials or already recycled content, which is pretty neat and actually pretty impressive because there's been a few times just because we've moved to the new place and the mail, we're still getting that all figured out, and there's been some confusion like once or twice where our HelloFresh has gotten delivered to a neighbor and it just sits outside. And this was back in like when it was warm out, and we couldn't find it for a day, but it was still, when we got it back, everything in there was still cool. Nothing went bad. None of the meat in there went bad or anything. It was actually pretty impressive. So they do a very good job. So if you want to try HelloFresh, you can go to HelloFresh.com/80deadmeat. and use code 80deadmeat to get $80 off, including free shipping. One more time, that is HelloFresh.com/80deadmeat, and use code 80deadmeat to get $80 off, including free shipping. HelloFresh. And now that we're done talking about food, we're going to go right into us describing extremely gory parts of this movie. Yeah, so now she is Colin. I think I said at this point, oh man, she probably does this so often. It's not even fun looking at your new dick if you have one, but no, she does.
Looks like a dick.
Yeah, I'm glad we addressed the very human aspects of what this job would be.
You're in a new body, you're checking your junk.
Yeah, like you just are. I think it's funny too that we see her when she's herself and she cuts an apple like a maniac. She cuts it like a tavern rogue. Like,
yes.
It's not like how Aragorn would eat an apple, or she like is holding it and she like just slices the knife into it twice and is able to just like cut a perfect slice out of it, just kind of like hacking away at it.
Yeah.
And she does that as Colin too. Yeah, it's like a D&D rogue cutting an apple. I just couldn't help but think, if you are put into someone's body, and I'm sure this is part of what she does and she knows to expect this. And again, we don't need this spelled out, but I just couldn't help think about, if you did this, I don't think people realize like how living in your body, your like brain is so specifically in tune with what amount of force it takes you to, let's say, open a door, or like how.
I imagine that any women who have had children are familiar with this, because my understanding is that you put on one of those training pregnancy bellies and you wear those to adjust to that new part of your body that you weren't familiar with before, and then you become pregnant, and it's this recalibration of your center of gravity. Every little thing, every step you take.
I just couldn't help thinking about how if this you would just be falling over constantly.
Well, it's why it's funny that we just did Freaky last week, where the teenage girl character was unable to properly calibrate the force behind Vince Vaughn's body.
Yeah,
it's great.
I don't know. I just couldn't stop thinking about it. Just realistically, you would try to open a door and maybe hit yourself in the face just at first.
Right, exactly.
Just little things.
So it's again.
Oh man, yeah, we picked another. I didn't even realize this was going to be kind of a body swap, right? So it's another one where I'm just going to call her she as our. But if it's Colin being Colin.
Yeah,
we'll
that's important because he's
Colin.
Still in there.
Yes.
So Voss goes to work as Colin.
This is going to be so confusing.
I know. Where it is the most bleak job ever. He's working at his girlfriend's dad's company, this like zoo through, right? But he has a basement level position, and it's a data mining company. He is one of these drones who has to go into work, what do they call it? Like the pit or something?
The mine.
The mine, yeah. He goes into the mine, which is just a room with a bunch of people with VR helmets on, and he puts on the VR helmet, and his job today that we see him at work is to catalog drapes and blinds, like curtains and blinds. So he just goes through what we are assuming are like webcams, and
I think this is people's webcams,
people's cameras and on phones and computers, and is just like cataloging like, oh, no blinds in this one. Those are blinds, kind of sheer.
These are fleeted.
And it's to help the AI learn what blinds are. Although he does get distracted. This is our scene of actual like porn. There's not like penetration, but it's spread eagle and gooch. So you see this guy's
to the point where we were wondering, did they film this for the movie, or do you?
I feel like they had to have filmed it for the movie, but then again, we were saying that introduces a whole new set of codes and probably paperwork. Because
I have no idea.
I guess without the penetration, it's different. I think if
this is unrated and just like the home release is unrated, I think you can genuinely do whatever.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
I guess there are movies like Antichrist has some stuff in it. Sure.
I think the thing with movie ratings is that it's just to like, it's for distribution specifically, I think in theaters and stuff. And you don't have to get your movie rated, but like it makes it harder to get.
But there are different rules when it comes to pornography.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I don't know where that line
I don't know.
is drawn.
This is getting into an area where I genuinely don't really know what I'm talking about. But this whole sequence where he's in the mine. Man, we're coming up soon on getting to do our annual Lord of the Rings marathon. I'm really excited. Yeah. He walks in and we see him. He's wearing like a blue polo, and all the other employees are all waiting in line to clock in. They all have blue polos, and it's visually it's a visual reference to earlier with Holly is wearing the blue like
tracksuit.
And all of the other hostesses are wearing the same. So it's just like it's really interesting how the fact that to make these assassinations believable and to make them not suspicious, the people that it makes sense for this company to have like snap and just murder someone who's very powerful is an underling.
Yeah.
Because we see in this
wage
movie,
worker.
again, we know a lot less about Holly, and I was speculating earlier. I don't know what that whole, storyline implies, but like the fact that this movie really draws your attention to the kind of like this, like underling class, like, I mean, pretty bottom tier society wise, like worker class, that they're always going to be the ones who no one's going to be shocked when this person snaps and kills someone who's in charge of them or has power over them.
Yeah.
And we even get, we see Colin's day to day, and that would make you absolutely crazy. But like because it's not even just VR. It's like he puts on the VR helmet and he has like a VR desk. It's like a fake office.
Yeah, it's
and
like
then he's doing the work through a computer in the fake office.
Yes.
And it's like, no fucking, like you would, like.
And I love that the VR is another layer to the pseudo VR that Voss is already doing, inhabiting this guy. So now she's Colin Tate inside VR.
So she's in VR. Like she's in so many layers of VR.
And it messes her up. She has a little episode. She sees
does.
this like little artifact, this like white, almost web-looking spinning thing that she tries to grab, but it's not really there. She sees it once again later, and it's not fully explained, but
she sees actually in that opening scene there is some like water. I don't know if you noticed it. There's
it's
like
a great shot of
water.
water.
And it's like the water is like frozen in time. It's like kind of blobby and weird. So I think that's some hints that mentally she's starting to break down a little, like time starts to rip apart for her when she's in
just tearing through her realities.
It is cool how much that opening scene, you need it, you really need it it makes so much make sense later, and I love it.
I feel like a good little opening appetizer, I love it when they're done well.
Yeah, it does
it
so
really
much
sets you
for
up
a
for a good
script if
movie.
it answers questions that you didn't even know you had, and later
It just sets the mood. and stuff.
later you realize that it makes something make sense.
Even to something as simple as Freaky, where it's not like laying out any rules, but just like, oh yeah, this is gonna be a gory movie, just like establishing tone. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just thinking, just fucking Scream.
I know, Scream's the best. Oh, but this is a scene where the fact that Colin's job involves putting on a VR helmet every day. And this is a scene where, thinking back on it, I'm just wondering what exactly Jennifer Jason Leigh's been doing this whole time, and like what her plans have been, because we know that she wants Voz to just dedicate herself 100% to the company.
Yeah, there was a scene earlier when she came back, and Jennifer Jason Leigh is like, I love your work, I love what you've been doing, you're great, but I still see this like little thread attaching you to this life that I thought you had cut off. Aren't you past that? This life with your husband and son, haven't you moved past that?
She keeps really pushing the idea that her family is not good for her, and that she's only going to realize her true potential and her true self by just giving herself to this company, essentially. And
as she has.
Yeah, exactly. And the VR aspect of Colin's job makes me think part of the reason that she was very insistent on Voz taking this job. Yeah, it's important, but also this one was going to be the final one that just totally broke her. Because clearly, like, they have, like, there can't, I feel like there have to be mental side effects of doing VR, and there is, like, we see it fucks her up, and
like
I just have to think that Jennifer Jason Leigh knows that a character with this job that Voz is gonna have to go do, and just all these little things that are gonna make her lose it.
Yeah, and you see her losing her sense of self, because as Colin, she goes in and spies on her husband and kid. She's like watching them from afar, from outside their house, and just like look. And I'm like, that's got to be a big no-no for these jobs.
Yeah, and and I think this kind of goes with my point. I didn't realize this is the exact scenes. This makes me think. I do think this is exactly what's going on here. When she puts on the VR and starts, like, her head starts glitching, she also sees a very quick image. It's her son with like an X like cut into his face. And at the very end, I will just ruin the end.
Oh,
That's
God.
where she shoots her son in the face, and it's that exact same spot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, good call. I didn't notice that shot of her son,
and
Ira.
That's what makes me think that this is kind of a planted, like, even that imagery is like, so it's almost like a little push for her to do it's like, you know, target, an X is a target. So I almost wonder if it's kind of the subliminal, just mental imagery to push her to do something later that she would never do otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's what that shot is there for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, she, as Colin goes home to her girlfriend Ava, where there has like friends over. The friends are really catty, I guess, snide towards Colin, because like he's working this shit job that we just watched, and one of them just got promoted at Zuthru and is not working the VR job. She has like an office job or whatever.
Yeah,
and they're just really talking down to him and we get the sense of the class divide between where he's come from and where his heiress girlfriend and her friends, the life that they lead.
Yeah. And just the fact that they all assume that you will eventually leave that kind of job while you're working at a company. Like, it's a choice if you don't get promoted.
Yeah, like, why are you still working
right
there?
It's like
and the girlfriend's like, well, my dad likes to torture the people I'm with. So.
Yeah, very
like,
cool and normal.
One of her friends, I guess, has like a fuck buddy of his.
Yeah, he's cheating on the heiress girlfriend.
But she says that the girlfriend doesn't mind. And I believe her. I think that this is just what, because like he comes home and we've already learned he has a drug problem, an addiction problem. And when he gets home, his girlfriend's like, oh, hey.
Here, have some coke.
Yeah, come do a line with us. So this is a hedonistic heiress lifestyle, like rich heir lifestyle of drugs and kind of just open sex, and it's like whatever.
Yeah, this was not, I don't think he was ever going to be a serious long-term. I think he's such the I'm going to date you because it pisses off my dad.
Exactly. Yeah, the bad boy acting out relationship.
Yeah. Then there's a sex scene, and you're so aware the whole time that it's Foz having sex with the heiress as Colin. And just again, more weird imagery. There's a shot where it's Voz naked, but she has an erect dick, and it's cool. Like it just there's
like
a
it
lot.
pans down and there's that dick.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Then I think the next day she's talking to. I just keep calling her Jennifer. It's Girder.
Yeah,
she talks to Girder, and I like that whenever she's talking to Girder, they overlap Colin's voice with Voz's voice, so that you know when she's talking. She's talking to like home base essentially,
because Voss's body is lying reclined in a get up that's transmitting her consciousness into Colin's body, and then Girder's just kind of lounging next to her. It's like they're at work, and Girder's just kind of like on a faint lounge next to her, just like, oh hey, how's it going?
Yeah, and they layer up Voss's voice with Colin whenever she's talking to people back in at the Assassin Company, and we don't even know
Assassin HQ. I don't think we ever get the name of the company.
What it's called. Yeah,
we do learn that the thing that we saw in that cold open where she stuck the plug in her head, that's like a calibration thing, just to properly calibrate. And again, it's one of those things where it's not further explained than this is to calibrate things.
Yeah, Girder said, hey, I think you should recalibrate if you're not, just to see, because I think Foz lies and is like, nope, everything is good, everything's fine, even though we just saw her see reality start to rip apart a little bit. She's grabbing like particles of reality out of the air, and I feel like that's not supposed to happen. But Girder says, all right, well, you should just recalibrate because you've been in there a while. And yeah, the recalibration is when she sticks that fucking needle in her head, and that's what the dial is from the beginning. It's, you twist it to one end and it's happy, and you twist it to the other end and it's just her crying, and it's so cool. And I like that. Okay, yeah, that answers what the fuck was happening at the beginning, which is neat.
So now it's the party time.
Yeah.
Where we finally meet the big mean dad, Jonathan, what's his name? Jonathan.
It's Sean Bean.
It's Sean Bean.
It's Sean Bean.
Yeah,
We're just going to call him Sean Bean.
Sean Bean is the big bad dad,
He's
and
a
he is
mean
such a
dad.
dick. He's just this data mining president asshole dad.
Yeah, he reminds me of like a Richard Branson almost, but like less fun.
So yeah, it's the party at his very swanky mansion. And this is where it's supposed to go down.
Yeah, this is where the final, like, this is the end of the mission, essentially. Sean Bean gives a speech to all of his investors, whoever the fuck is there, and he gives some speech about how boredom, when you're bored, you end up creating stuff that's cool. It's like just such TED Talk horseshit. And he goes, to boredom, and they all toast to boredom, and all I could think of was, there's so many like tech companies that rely on the illusion of boredom or like being boring or unexciting to mask things that are ultimately, I think, so sinister. Like the best example is Google's Don't Be Evil, which is the most they did drop. Google's yeah, that's such a turning point when Google's like, oh, we can't have this be our motto anymore. But just stuff like that where it's kind of cutesy, like faux simple, like, don't be evil, to boredom, to mask what's going on underneath. And yeah.
And also your drones are never bored except for at work, but they don't have the luxury of boredom as in free time.
Yes, exactly. It's for sure the fact that the main component of Colin's job is boredom. And just the obliviousness of toasting to boredom when it's like you've never experienced crushing boredom before. Clearly.
You've experienced leisurely boredom.
You've experienced being idle and
the
idle rich. That's not true. Just brain draining boredom. Yeah, that's such a good point.
Throughout the party, we get a real good sense of how cruel Sean Bean is, and he's just humiliating this boyfriend in front of all his rich friends and just really talking him down.
Yeah, he's such a fucking dick. I do like too, and this has been happening kind of like visually the whole movie, but I really noticed it in this scene. There's mirrors everywhere, and Colin's reflection is constantly broken up and fragmented, and all these surfaces like the pool in the scene, and it's very like just visually really cool.
Yeah.
And so Girder kind of radios into Voz and says, "Okay, here's what we're gonna do. You need to make a scene and get thrown out."
And then come back
and
later.
then come back in, so it makes sense that you've come back to shoot him. And he gets thrown out and he yells, and I'm gonna get thrown out of a horror convention and just yell this one day. But it'll be for something not exciting. It'll be like taking too many free programs or something. But he goes, "You think you could step on me? I'm a giant. I'm a fucking giant.
I'm a giant! I'm a fucking giant!
After the party itself's over, that's when Voz, as Colin, comes back to kill Sean Bean and his daughter. And
instead of the gun, once again, grabs a fire poker and just beats the shit out of Sean Bean and then stabs him in the face, like through the mouth. And then is stabbing him and then twists it and it breaks out the teeth. And you're watching this all in close-ups.
We're just yelling at the TV.
And then takes the fire poker and pops out one of Sean Bean's eyes with it.
Yeah, and you see it all, baby.
It's close-ups.
It's close-ups, and it's amazingly
the teeth and
done.
the eye. Holy shit.
The shot of the teeth, I think, was what really fucked me up.
That's the one that's sticking with me the most. Yeah.
It's it's the end of the fire poker being like twisted around. As it's being twisted, it's just like popping out these teeth and there's blood. Oh my God, it's disgusting.
Fucking insane. It's oh God.
Like it is impressively done. If you're able to like stomach gore and just appreciate it on a level of like this is amazingly done, you'll love this. Not for the faint of heart, though.
No. And then it's really sad when Ava walks in and gets shot because, like, as far as we know, she didn't really do anything wrong.
And it's interesting.
And she seems so scared.
Yeah, it's tough to watch, like, where she's hiding, and I think it's interesting that we see him shoot her, or see Voz, as Colin, shoot her right in the head. she tries to shoot her right away and misses. But I think her intent all along was just to give her a quick death, just shoot her in the head. And
because she shoots her like in the chest as she's running away. Or
yeah,
like in the
I
back.
think she missed. Yeah,
and then she's like crawling.
It's never implied that she's gonna torture her the same way that so that to me also kind of says that when she's in these people's heads, whether subconsciously or not, she is absorbing some of these people's feelings towards the other target, or towards the target. So it makes sense that she's gonna like feel Colin's rage and just absolutely stab the fuck out of Sean Bean. But Colin, the guy himself, I don't think is gonna have a ton of animosity towards the girl that he's seeing. So she gives her a quick death.
Yeah. Then she goes to kill herself as Colin, and once again is unable to do it. And this time, Colin is able to exert control over and start to take back control of his own body.
Yep.
And in Assassin HQ, you see Voss, like her physical body start to kind of like spit up some blood.
Yeah.
And they're unable to pull her out.
And her and she starts having these visions of like her face is like getting all like melty, and there's all kinds of crazy. The last third of this is really frenetic. Like I don't even know
because it's Colin trying to assert control over his own body again. Voss still stuck in his psychic plane or whatever, and then Jennifer Jason Leigh saying, "No, don't pull her out. Leave her. Let her try to fight to overcome it." But you know that's just part of this like ultimate plan that Jennifer Jason Leigh has.
I think that's why this is totally what's going on this whole time, especially. Yeah, like her just kind of ignoring safety protocols, and like she's supposed to be pulled out of this body after she kills the host, Colin, but now she's in it for way longer than she was ever supposed to be.
There's like possible
and I
brain
feel like
damage.
Yeah, exactly. There's possible brain damage that is being risked, and the fact that Jennifer Jason Leigh is gonna risk her best agent tells me like, no, she knows exactly what's gonna happen if she stays in there too long.
Yeah. So Colin goes to that one friend's place, the one who he's in real life had been having an affair with, and he starts to explain the actions that he didn't do. And I found that interesting because he's telling her like, I did it so we could be together. And like, that's Colin talking. It's not Voss. Yeah. Colin is back in control at this point. And I found that interesting as in like, he was able to witness on some level, at least, himself doing these things that he wasn't consciously doing. And then when his consciousness takes back control over his body, as a human being, you're just left to retroactively justify the thing that you know happened, even if in this case he didn't actually do. I find that really interesting because, I mean, your brain is just a bunch of electrical signals, and you can have false memories implanted and then make justifications for behaviors of these false memories that never actually happened, but you can try to justify them.
Yeah, and I think this scene specifically where he's explaining, I did this because this, even though he didn't, he was a passive spectator, but the fact that he's like, but it was me, I did it, I think it show or demonstrates that the lines between consciousnesses are really blurred, especially when she's in there longer than she's supposed to be, which I think also helps to explain why she does what she does at the end. Because like I said before, I think that she kind of absorbs some of Colin's feelings towards Sean Bean, specifically towards other people in his life. And so then when Colin figures out who Voss is, and Colin immediately has animosity towards her, towards Voss's family, because he figures like, well, who's this fuck that she's married to? This guy must know what she's up to. And he's immediately like that anger. And I think that that's going to bleed over into Voss also. Like they're entwined for too long. Like I don't think they can separate their emotions from each other.
Especially after, he ends up shooting Rita. Voss, I think, starts to take back control And in that moment, I think it's Voss shooting Rita, the friend, in the shower. Even though it doesn't happen on screen, we see later that it happened. But then this guy named Eddie, who is like a work friend, comes over and reveals that he's like undercover agent for the company. So he's trying to help Voss take control
I love Eddie.
of Colin again. And he like lays down Colin's body and is like trying to do this thing. But then you see it's like Voss laying down, undergoing this procedure. But then you see Colin.
This is so cool.
Come out from the back in his own brain and attack Voss inside his brain and strangle her and then crush her head.
Yes, there's a shot of Colin crushing her head.
And it's not bloody. It's more like a mask.
But that's why it's so creepy. He like crushes her head and it's not bloody, but it's just this imagery of this head just so rapidly like caving in.
Yeah, with a sound effect that's really good.
It's so creepy.
And then he takes her face and puts it on like a mask.
Yeah.
And it's ill-fitting. You got one side drooping.
That's what the cover
of the
is.
movie
Yeah.
is it's just this horrific looking
it's so
skin
awful to
face
look at.
mask.
And that's when he really like he literally gets in her head and that's when he learns where
her
she
memories and
lives,
stuff.
her family, like he
It's so
gets
trippy.
what she is doing, kind of, like what she is there to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is when he fully realizes like, yeah, someone's controlling me.
Exactly. And so when he comes back to controlling his body on the outside, he kills Eddie, this friend. Eddie's dead.
By the way, Eddie just like, why is he Rob Schneider?
Oh yeah, you compared him to Rob
He looks
Schneider.
like, and I also for some reason thought of, because he just shows up and is like, hey, it's me, I'm here to help you out. I just for some reason like thought of fucking Clarence showing up in It's a Wonderful Life, like, George, I'm gonna help you, you're gonna see what Christmas is like if you're not, just like, but then it'd be like if Clarence got murdered.
Yeah. So Colin, now still pretty much in control of his body, goes to Michael's place, Voss's husband.
Yeah. And
who's played by a Sutherland, by the way.
Yes, I saw that.
Son of Sutherland.
And I do want to, like, the last third of this is so much, like, the imagery is so abstract and it's fucking crazy, honestly. I don't know how much of it we can, like, summarize beat by beat, because it would just be us being like, and then there's a shot of, like, maggots or, just, so it might seem like we're flying through this third act, but it's, it's very abstract and there's a lot going on. But yeah, so he goes to Voss's place because he takes control of his own body. He's standing in the same spot practicing "Hi, darling." So he goes to the front door.
He breaks in and gets Michael at gunpoint and is accusing him of being complicit to his wife's actions. Mm-hmm. And it has this really good kind of speech about like a parasite taking over somebody, and at what point are you no longer married to the person but you're married to the parasite.
It's
a cool little monologue,
which is kind of it's the parasite overtaking the host body, which is what eventually kind of happens. Although we'll talk about the very end
because he's threatening. He has the gun to Michael and he's threatening Voss inside his head. He's like,
I'll shoot him, like I'll do it,
and Voss is like,
do it. Yeah, and this is where I think it's so important that this movie set up the fact that like that one scene where Colin is like, I did this because it was for us, where it's like, who is doing what, and who feels they're responsible and whose thoughts are whose, which is why I think Voss saying,
go ahead, do it, he's only holding you back.
Which is probably internalized Jennifer Jason Leigh.
I think it's like her basically like internalizing both Colin's hatred towards her husband. It's, Colin thinking this guy must be complicit. They're married. He has to know what an evil monster his wife is. Mm-hmm. And also her internalizing Jennifer Jason Leigh's desire for her to let go of her family. And I think just that, she doesn't have her own thoughts about it anymore. Yeah. So she like basically just says, shoot him.
And Michael fights back and tries to defend himself, but he gets his fingers hacked off with a cleaver. And then again, another just brutal...
We're getting fucked up by this meat cleaver.
Hacking him with a meat cleaver in the chest. probably 20 times or
It
more.
sucks.
It goes on
so
for
much.
so long. And like Michael
didn't do
anything.
He's just kind of like a pretentious professor. Oh no,
Yeah.
he didn't do anything.
Like it sucks.
He has bad dinner small talk, and that's his biggest crime.
His friends liked it, you know.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, it's again just a case of like turning this torso into minced meat.
Yeah.
And then Colin gets stabbed in the neck off screen, turns and shoots the gun, and it was the fucking kid, Ira, the little kid who's probably like what? Maybe 10?
Yeah, it sounds
10 to 12 maybe.
Sounds right.
And yeah, so he shoots this kid in the
face. This kid gets like his head like blown away.
Yeah, because then he shoots him a few more times, and the last shot like blows up this kid's head.
Yeah.
And I don't think it makes it any better when you realize that because the kid says, "Pull me out."
Yeah, it was Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Jennifer Jason Leigh was possessing the kid. I think it makes it worse that this little kid is getting killed. Like
it's a lot, man.
You know, you don't see kids get killed a lot, especially getting shot with their heads blowing up.
Yeah, but that's why I think she, like, I think Girder knew like this is where it was gonna end, and that's why she had the foresight to be in the kid's brain for that
they would have
moment.
had to abduct him at some point for the link to be established.
So I think there's like, I wonder how much even of the weird glitchy imagery throughout the movie is not even Voss's own like brain. It's like implanted stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's getting in, that's like, what's your own theory on this movie? But I really think, and yeah, at the, the way that we were talking about Colin saying, at the end of the day, who are you married to, the person or the parasite? And at the end of the day, who is Voss? Is she Voss, or is she just all of the ideas that Girder put into her brain? And that's it. Like, she's not even Voss anymore.
Because the last scene is after they both come out and she's doing that debriefing and she sees the butterfly and she's like, I killed it and mounted it when I was young. And that's it. She doesn't mention I felt bad about it or I feel bad
That's
now.
the last moment is she doesn't mention anymore that she felt bad about killing the butterfly that one time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool fucking movie, man.
Also, I think the butterfly too, because like a butterfly, when you mount it, I don't know if it's, I'd have to look at the what it actually looks like in the movie, but usually I feel like you stick pins in it, right, to get it to. So that almost like mirrors for me like all she does so much stabby. She's just stabbing a lot.
Person,
it's
yeah.
I don't know, maybe visually a little bit of a nod to that. It's very pokey, but it just looks fucking cool too.
Yeah, it's great all around.
Yeah, recommend if you can stomach it. But if you can, check it out. It's very good.
Yeah. That's it for this year on the podcast.
I know.
You've just got to edit this, boy, and then you're fucking home
Going
free.
on a Christmas break.
I've got about 4 or 5 more days left of intense labor, and then I can.
I mean,
go on a
that'll be
break.
me. I gotta clean this house.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I hope that everyone listening and watching is making smart decisions.
Yeah.
There's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
Let's get
just
there in
hang
one piece.
There one shitty Christmas until, hopefully this is all over.
Be careful. I've had people in my life very close recently test positive, and
it sucks.
It sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks for them more than it sucks for me, but it still sucks for me to.
It sucks to worry about every day. Yeah, so just just hang in there. I know how hard this time of year is, and I get it.
And I get that we are in a very privileged position of we live with some friends in a house and are just fucking deal with it.
And I'm
just
now, I'm someone who I'm extremely affected by the seasons. The less daylight has been fucking up my shit royally this year. So winter in general is tough. And not, this on top of everything else. It's going to be a lonely holiday season for a lot of you. And I just, at the end of the day, so much of how we're all feeling right now, seasonal depression wise, it's just, your brain is just mad because there's not daylight, So I promise, at the very least, after December 21st, every single day there's going to be more sun, and that's something to look forward to.
Sure, yeah.
So just hang in there. We love you.
I think I'll try to do a couple of live streams during the break.
I think that would be,
fun stuff,
yeah.
And you can tune in.
I would pop into some live streams. I know live streams for a lot of people are very important. Like right now, it's you feel a bit grounded, and you can interact with people, and just like human contact in any way. And right now, like,
and I still want to
any
do the
safe way right now is
the charity live stream with Duck Game that you can operate.
Yeah, so we'll do some live streams, and you can check in with us, and hopefully
there will be kill counts for you to watch too.
Hopefully it helps this stretch of the year going into January and stuff feel a bit less lonely, because it's tough out there.
Yep.
But we appreciate you. Thank you for making this another amazing year.
Yeah.
Next year's going to be even cooler, especially once we can actually interview people in person.
We'll be able to do that. I'm just planning to switch it up a lot on the channel, because it's been...
I think that I want to actually... I always keep saying I'm going to do it, but I want to just do a damn kill count this year. Like
everyone wants you to, man.
Well, because I have to write one, and I never want to sit and write one.
Trust me, it's not fun.
Yeah, so but I'm going to, this year, I'm going to do it.
American Psycho?
Yeah, it would be American Psycho.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Making it happen.
All right, you've heard it.
Yeah. I mean, next year we won't be moving into a house.
No, we'll just be getting married.
Shit. Yeah, that's true.
That's fine. We'll figure something out. In the meantime, you can follow social media. You can follow just social media.
Just social
at
media.
Dead Meat James on Twitter and Instagram.
And I'm at Carebec, CareVecc on Twitter and Instagram. And if you want merch, deadmeatstore.com.
Yep. deadmeatpod@gmail.com is the email address for this show. And until next year, I'm James.
I'm Chelsea.
And this has been the Dead Meat Podcast.